Inscription in patch 11.1. So Inscription is already one, if not my favorite profession for gold making in the WoW within. In patch 11.1, it's going to carry on being a very solid profession, both from a crafting and a concentration perspective. Now, before the patch released, I did a video talking about the new recipes from Inscription. So that's a new contract and a new Vantis rune. So I'm not going to go into super detail into those here. The rundown from that video is that you need 5 renown for these 2 new recipes and 150 arts and security to buy them from the vendor. And you can't get to the new zone unless you're level 80. So you can bypass this by using the raid Summoning Stone and getting a couple of friends to help you to get your lower level characters to the zone. And from there, they can buy the recipes and stuff from the vendor themselves. So from a concentration perspective, then Inscription is looking pretty solid in patch 11.1. Contracts always start out well, and then the Vantis runes last for pretty much the whole patch. So it's looking pretty good there. There will be a bit of a race to be the first person to get Renown 5, be the first to market, because the return for being some of the first people to get those contracts will be nice. So whoever gets there first will be in a really good situation if you can sort of get loads of those off the production line. On top of that, I know a lot of you guys have been doing quite well sort of in the last few months using your concentration on Darkmoon Sigils as well. That's another really solid source to pump your concentration into. So there's quite a few things to choose from there. So Inscription from a concentration perspective is going to be quite nice. And I've said it before, I don't think it's still going to be as good as Enchanting. Enchanting's just, on a different league, but it's looking like a fairly decent second place at the moment. But from a general crafting perspective is from where I feel like Inscription has done really well this expansion. So it all started when I did the 0 to gold cap in 5 days video. And on a character starting from absolutely nothing, got up to 10 million gold in sort of 5 days time just by doing the really basic crafting process in Inscription. And since then, it's just been extremely reliable at sort of almost always being in profit as sort of a crafting process that you can do to sort of like make a bit of gold through the expansion. So it's boundless ciphers, codified greenwoods, and then if you want to, you can sell everything on the way. So you can sell the inks, you can sell the pigments and stuff as well if you want to, but you don't quite sell as well as those. Inscription is basically the perfect example of vertical integration doing what it does best. So basically you're crafting through multiple layers. In this case, it's Inscription. We're crafting through 3 layers, and each of those layers we're going to craft as a BIS crafter. And because of that, it makes it really difficult for it to not actually, the end product to not actually be selling for a profit. Now, like I said, it's almost never a loss to craft all the way from start to finish. Now, I'm not saying this is always the most amazing gold per hour, but it is still profit and it is still gold making that you can do sort of largely AFK. So from a profession setup perspective, as far as we are looking at doing sort of this vertical integration BIS crafting setup, so we need obviously all rank 5 rare profession gear as usual. We need 2 profession tools. We need a multicraft tool with a resourcefulness enchant, and we need a resourcefulness tool with a resourcefulness enchant. So basically we need that because when we are milling, we'll use the resourcefulness tool. And when we are crafting inks, ciphers, codified greenwoods, then we will use the multicraft tool. So knowledge wise, we put 30 points into pursuit of knowledge, 30 points into multitask, and 30 points into detail orientated. Now, if you are using your concentration and you're using it a lot, like you should be really, and you're not a slacker with it like I am, then you should probably put 30 points into Eureka as well. But like I said, I slack, so I've not got those points in. Now, everything in the Pursuit of Perfection tree, the only reason you're putting points over here is to be able to craft rank 3 stuff. There is no crafting stats here, so there's no resourcefulness and there's no multicraft anywhere in this tree. So if all you want to do is craft rank 1 and rank 2 stuff, you don't actually need any points in here whatsoever. If you do want to craft the rank 3 stuff, then just fill out the whole tree, basically. A few little tips then. So the most important thing is as you get more skill, you may get to a situation whereby using rank 1 herbs turns into rank 2 pigment. It's really, really important that you don't do this, because if you use a rank 1 herb into a rank 2 pigment, then you get a much lower yield and you will probably not be making any gold from it whatsoever. If you get to that point, then you can either drop a piece of profession gear, the one with multi-craft and ingenuity on it, whilst you are doing your milling. And in that situation, your skill will drop down and then you'll just produce rank 1s instead. which, then you won't get the negative of the yield. That can potentially help. The other thing is just make sure you use rank 2 herbs instead. So you've got to do one of those or the other. You cannot create rank 2 pigments using rank 1 herbs. Another thing that can potentially be helpful, the Nightborn ratio gives you +5 inscription skill. Now, this is not going to make a massive bit of difference. It can make a little bit of a difference on some of the rank 3 crafting, but it's not going to be something that's going to be sort of completely groundbreaking. It just means you can exchange the odd rank 3 material for a rank 2 one. But it's definitely not something that's worth race changing or starting a new inscription character or anything like that for. But it's just a nice little thing if you do have it. It's so insignificant of a difference that I don't even include it in my crafting sheet. Now, the basic stuff that we're doing on all crafters, so you're maintaining the file of Bountiful Seasons all time. That's obviously the massive boosts to resourcefulness that you're going to get from that. File of the Quick Hands, really important in this in particular, just because you're going to spend so much time crafting basically. So get that, get the Weaver's buff, you will easily get the 75% crafting speed. And from there, that just sort of really helps. It does pump up the gold per hour just a little bit. So something like a crafting sheet is much better in this sort of situation where you're crafting through many layers, because it makes it really easy to see how much it's costing you to craft that. Something like Craft Sim will simulate sort of you crafting that item, but it's crafting just that one stage, not all 3 stages. So you can't see what sort of profit margin you are actually going to get at the end if you did it from start to finish. Now, like I keep saying, I've got one on my Patreon, but you are better off doing this yourself. And I do have a video that I released about a month ago or so now that shows you how to make these crafting sheets yourself. So you can do that, and then you'll be able to take advantage of this. And like I said, it is better than Craft Sim. I think a lot of people get put off with this sort of crafting because it doesn't look very profitable at all. Because you look at it and you think, well, there's barely anything there. But then when you craft through all 3 layers, then you will find that you can get sort of a decent profit margin the majority of the time. Like I've said in each of these videos, gear crafting is obviously, there's going to be a lot more demand coming in for that. Inscription has a little bit of it. The same advice as on the other videos. 1, get and use Craft Scan, absolutely essential. 2, customize the message you're sending people. Don't send the default message. It makes you look like a bot. And number 3, sell cross-realm if you're really struggling. You can get so much more sales if you're selling cross-realm. Like I said, invite people to a guild, do the crafting order via a guild order, and you can sell to anyone on your entire region. Overall then, Inscription is just a really solid crafter that's, if you're crafting with a BIS setup, then you are in profit almost all of the time. Now, on top of that, we do have some new recipes coming that's going to boost the concentration from Inscription as well. So Inscription is probably one of the professions that's sort of on the up the best this patch compared to some of the others that, haven't done so well. Now, if you prefer this sort of stuff in a written format, then there's like a written version of everything I've said in this video on the Discord. It's all free, access to everybody. And there's some guides and stuff from other professions on there as well, if you want to have a look at that. Thank you to all the patrons whose support allows me to do sort of all the research on the PTR and to produce these videos. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.